And together, they give us the fullness of living stereo.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the universe. No audio. Where'd the audio go? No. Anyone hear me?
Oh my goodness, I was muted the whole time. Let's try that again, guys.
And
Hello. Welcome to WLTK-DB Let's Talk Radio. I am so sorry about that, guys. You are tuning into the universe where everything really does revolve around you. Right, Rob?
It really does. It does.
It really
Right
does.
from here within, you know,
Yes.
and you know, you can mute your microphone, but you can't mute your you can't mute the universe. And you are a bigger influence on it than you may realize on your surroundings. And so Steph, we got a fantastic guest this week, actually a good friend of mine, and
I am excited.
She's the first guest on our season 12 premiere episode of the Ghost Finders, and she is an extraordinary lady, a psychic medium whose spiritual journey began when she was like 4 years old.
That's awesome.
And she was struck by lightning.
I saw that. Talk about getting sparked by spirit.
Right. And she's witnessed UFOs. I mean, she's been interviewed by MUFON about her encounters, her alien encounters. And she's been working in the field for quite a while. I think to age 26, she started investigating. So she's definitely paid her dues in that regard. She also very smart, witty lady. She has a degree in criminal justice and a minor in psychology. So really, she could have done anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I saw that. I found that intriguing. I am very intrigued by that aspect of her.
But she chose to open a mom and daughter crystals, soap, and metaphysical store. That is absolutely amazing. I guess without further ado, please welcome our guest this week, Miss Angie Ramsey. No relation to Gordon.
Hey, Angie.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hi, Angie. You're not related to Gordon, are you?
I've heard down the line we are. But he still uses the A. We changed it to an E.
I love it.
Oh, for God's sake! Anyway,
I drop bombs too, but you know we're not talking about that here.
No, believe me, I know you do. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It happens.
Long time no see, Rob.
Long time no see. And Stephanie, by the way, she would never do such a thing. She's our esteemed Scottish bag lady is quite pure of soul.
Absolutely.
So nothing would leave her lips to that degree.
It runs in our blood.
You look like you have some lineage, European lineage. So
yes.
What are your?
So I am English, Welsh, and Scottish, and a little bit of Norwegian.
Wonderful.
Okay, very nice. Very nice.
I'm a mutt.
We all are by now,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know what I said to someone else today. You know, like we're actually all foreigners if we're not natives.
True.
Then, by definition, we are foreigners. So
accurate statement.
Yeah. So but Steph, you would get lost in her store and you would be there for 3 days because you want to see everything in there. Like
that's awesome.
It's pretty significant in size, and it just seems to grow more and more all the time because I don't know how to stop ordering things, and here
You
we
just feel
are.
drawn to them. That's awesome. It's like an eclectic collection.
It really is.
I like that.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm kind
actually,
of. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I actually brought some crystals to the team whenever we came up to investigate to help with
Awesome.
Yes,
protection.
you
That's
did,
awesome.
and and it turned out that it was a good thing you did.
Yeah.
In fact, we talked a little bit. We touched on that a couple of weeks ago with one of our guests, and it's really something I think a lot of people don't really realize how they can effectively do that. You know, how they can take matters into their own hands when it comes to shielding or protection.
Right.
Absolutely.
But so what got you into mediumship?
Oh my goodness. Where do you want me to start?
Well, I mean, we've kind of it's, you know, I've kind of given it away now, I suppose. You know, let's go from the lightning strike and the sort of before and after.
Okay, so like you said, I was 4 years old. I was at my grandmother's house. It was my dad's weekend to keep me, and we had just got back from the county fair. My dad bought me this big Snoopy, and my grandmother made the most wretched oyster stew, and they made me eat it, and I got sick on Snoopy. So I was real upset. Went back and slept in my dad's bedroom. Well, this was in the 70s. So he had one of those CB radios, you know, with the big tower out back.
Yeah.
Well, the next thing I know is that my dad, my grandmother, everybody that was in the house came rushing into the room. What they heard was a big, like, crack, and they saw light coming out from underneath the door. And what had happened was lightning struck that tower, ran in on the CB radio, which was right beside of the bed, which immediately transferred to me. So it wasn't a direct hit, but it ran through the line, and then it got me. When they walked through the bedroom door, I was sitting straight up in the bed, hair all sticking out to here.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't hear a single thing. So it went on like that for months. My mom took me to the doctor. They're like, no, it should be okay. It should be okay. Finally, my hearing came back. But then it was like, this was before caller ID, ring doorbell. You know, we had rotary phones. It was on the wall.
Right.
And so the phone would ring, and I would do this over and over and over. My mom would pick it up. And before she picked it up, I said, oh, that's this person, or that's this person. Or someone would knock on the door, and I'm like, oh, such and such is here. And so she's kind of got freaked out a little bit, to be honest. So she took me to a psychologist and said, hey, what's wrong with my kid? And she told them everything that had happened with the lightning. And turns out there's a thing called lightning-induced psychic capabilities. Who would have guessed, right? So from that moment on, you know, they always say, kids, oh, you've got a little, you know, imaginary friend.
Right.
But I knew those weren't imaginary friends, because I knew whenever I would leave my room, I was very methodical about where I put my toys. I was that person, because I didn't really have a lot. We didn't have a lot of money. So everything was pristine. It had its own little spot. Things were moved. And I would come back in, and I'm like, okay, you know, it's fun. Time is over. Let's leave my toys alone. And then, you know, throughout my growing up, more and more things would happen. There was an incident where we lived in this house. It was an older house built in like late 1800s. And I would wake up and walk to the kitchen every morning before school, go get me, you know, something to drink. Yeah. And there was a sun porch over here to the left-hand side. And I would see a little kid out there just like playing with a little stick or rolling some dice or something. So that's when I finally thought, okay, there is something to this. And I started tapping into it, you know, using different methods. And let me tell you, it's amazing sometimes, but there's a lot of times where it's overwhelming. And me and Rob have discussed this before, and it's just literally like, okay, I need a break. Can you
Right.
guys stop?
We have. I think how can it not affect you? Because I mean, your brain is a complete. Um, it's a wellspring of electromagnetic, but electronic signals going, whirling and all over the place. So how can something like that really not affect you? So did you feel? Did you feel also like you sensed that when you went into a room, like who you wanted to stay away from and who you didn't?
Yeah, absolutely. Investigating certain places, immediately when I walk in, I can tell whether there is a good spirit or entity or bad spirit or entity in there. And as much as I love doing it, I also I'm a little bit weary sometimes, and especially the place that we went to, because they draw to me. It's like I am a huge sponge, and if anything is in there, it is going to come to me every single time. And I've been assaulted before. I hate to use the word possessed, but you witnessed something in the attic and we have pictures of that. So, things come to me, and I just hope at the end of the day that I can cleanse all that off of me and not bring it home. But this last time, it has stuck, and I got Megan coming here in about a week to help.
Megan is awesome. Megan is fantastic.
Yeah.
And she's probably one of the, she's our oldest standing cast member, and for a very good reason. So
Last woman standing.
no, well, hopefully not, but not by far. But yeah, she'll help. She'll help you in any way she can. She's amazing with that stuff, and I think really that people underestimate that ability of spirit to attach itself to you, not just in a location, but from an inanimate object.
Right. She's coming to cleanse the store as well. We've had a few items fly off the shelf.
Well, that's good from a sales point, right? Or not?
I'm not sure.
They don't sound like paying customers.
Sorry,
Angie, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
You had talked about having the like lightning, what you called lightning induced abilities.
Mm-hmm.
As you've kind of grown into your abilities, have you, and in having conversations with your family, is there any other runnings in your family of people having abilities? Do you really feel it was completely lightning induced, or do you see other people in your families maybe not so aware of their abilities, but it being there throughout your ancestry?
Going back, and I've done the genealogy and the ancestry as far as I could possibly go. Funny story is my 10th great grandmother was Alice Arod Lake, and she was the second person hung in the United States as a witch before the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that has anything to do with it. Is like grandparents. My great grandmother, she was from Ireland, and she could quote unquote talk the fire out of you. We've heard that before. Other than that, no. My daughter Lauren, she's gonna kill me because she's probably watching this. She says I don't believe in it, this and that, but she's got some in her.
I think that's interesting. I know. And I know a lot of people, they do, because it's kind of scary. You can't, I'm a very rational person. And so it's hard when you're rational and you can't slot it, you can't put it into that cube. And so I just was kind of curious with your getting struck by lightning, if looking back, you're like, oh, yes, this could have been that moment that kind of kickstarted it, but I see it here. I see it here within my family.
I feel like when we are children and we have that imaginary friend,
Yes.
I think a lot of it is when the parents will say, you know what, maybe it's just in your head or it's in your
Right.
imagination,
Right.
and they don't actually pay attention to, does this child actually see or hear these things?
Right.
And they minimalize it so much that it either becomes embarrassing or the child just forgets about it because they don't want that stigma on them. And I
Absolutely.
think, yeah, as adults, we were taught that no, that this isn't happening. So we just repress those things and keep those inside and internalize them. And whenever that becomes an issue, then you close yourself off to this. And then maybe things are going on around you and you don't see it.
Right. Well, and I'm kind of jumping topics here, but there's so much I think you're fascinating.
Oh, thank you.
With the recent, and you guys have probably seen it, the 911 calls coming in, people reporting that they're having these experiences, and you've had several experiences with UFOs. But before we get into that, my first thought was, how long after you were struck by lightning did you start having those kinds of experiences? Do you think it correlated at all?
I think it may have given me a jump start
Right.
into maybe, well, not maybe, but my natural ability. But I think that for the lightning aspect of it, I want to say that it did give it a jump start, but I would probably estimate it to be about 6 months. But as a child, you're that little, so you don't
Oh
really have
yeah,
concept
absolutely.
of time.
Absolutely. How long and I'm just kind of going down these questions because it's sparking a lot of curiosity in me. With losing your hearing. Okay, so you have the lightning incident, then you start having some of these UFO experiences. Did any of that, so did the UFO experiences start before you got your hearing back, or did you have your hearing back before you started it?
Yeah, so the hearing came back. I never witnessed my first UFO until I was around 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want, because they talk about, these things happening and experiences with UFOs coming in sometimes and helping heal or helping some of these things. So I was just kind of curious on the timeline there.
And that's that I remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
There's a lot of things that we can't explain, and you're like, okay, wait a minute. Is that
Right.
deja vu, or did that really happen?
Yes. I understand that.
It's is that you, Steph? I mean, not you, but yeah. So I could tell him about my first UFO experience, which was not at all how I envisaged it. It just not at all. I just thought, disc or like a light of some kind, something like that. Not some right out of Steven Spielberg's, epic sort of vision. And it really truly was. It was like two windmills, one going one way and one going the other, spinning, and humongous. And then one. And it wasn't just one. It was because, of course, it can't be just one with Rob. There has to be two. There has to be two, and they just looked like the internal workings of an old rotary, an old-fashioned watch.
Yeah, like a gear.
Yeah, and I wasn't on my own, and I hadn't had any of the wacky backy, and I hadn't been drinking, so I was just like, yeah, you. She was like, shush. Oh my God. And that was it. And And I said, so now what? And she was like, what the? And I was like, yeah, but like, now what? She's like, well, there's no point telling anyone. And I was like, why? She was like, because no one's going to believe you. And I just realized there was this sort of like a moment that was like a before and after moment, like before I'd it was monumental to me. I mean, it wasn't like quite like becoming a father for the first time, you know, it wasn't anything like that, but it was definitely a old me, new me, you know, event where, and it struck me as how lonely it is. The more extraordinary you experience something, whether it be a UFO, Bigfoot, whatever it happens to be, an unusual or paranormal phenomenon,
Right.
how lonely that can be, because of course, unless you have video, and we're going back about 13 years or so. So, you know, flip phone, you know, I thought I was the cool guy with a razor, you know,
Right.
razor flip phone, but it's really thin. And yeah, the video wouldn't have shown anything up anyway. So yeah, I just wanted to interject that as my experience.
And with your experiences, Angie, did you just have experiences with the UFOs? Did you have experience of the inhabitants of the UFOs? Can you tell us a little bit about your personal experience?
Not anything as much as inhabitants, I would say. The first time I was playing outside, it was in North Carolina. Well, yeah, the first time was in North Carolina. I was playing outside with my friends, and there was just weird staticky kind of like, okay, air doesn't feel right, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And then we saw something, it was just, it kind of reminded me of E.T.
Right.
because it kind of went over the moon, you know,
Wow.
you could see it in an arch like that. It wasn't a plane. I mean, other than that, I can't really explain what it was. There was a time in Georgia when I was on Fort Stewart Air Base or military base. Can't talk. Anyways, so I saw one at the military base, and then the one of the last ones I've seen was up in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
And that one up there, we lived in a 2-story house. I was in my garden tub, you know, taking a bath, and I heard what sounded like ice cream truck music. And I know it sounds crazy.
Interesting.
It sounds insane.
Sounds like the beginning to the start.
You know, but I would get in a
Stephen King
UFO
movie.
for ice cream.
Thank you. Right?
Yeah,
You know,
right.
especially
So what happened next?
Harry.
Yeah.
But it was like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
There were no ice cream trucks. So, it sounded like it was right there outside my window, which was the second level. And then there was just, you know, that static in the air again. And I felt it. And I felt literally every hair on the back of my neck stand up. So I got out of the bathtub and I shook it off. I looked out the window, peeked out the blinds. I'm like, is there really ice cream truck out there? You know, because late night snack.
Right.
No. The next day, I was taking the dog out on the back porch, looked up, felt the static again, or maybe felt static, then looked up. There it was, literally going across the sky. Just happened to have my phone in me or in my hand, and I just reached up, boom, got a picture.
Nice.
That it wasn't clear because you know, I had to hurry.
That would be too easy, right? This perfect
way
picture.
too easy. Yeah. So my investigative mind immediately says, okay, maybe it was a blimp, you know, because Indianapolis, you know, they have the speedway there. I called, there was no blimp. I called the airport. Of course, you know, they're not going to tell me whether something was going across.
Right.
And then I reached out to MUFON and I said, okay, this is what I have. This is the picture. This is all the evidence. This is what I heard the night before. Help me debunk this, because I thought I'm going nuts.
Right. Right.
It wasn't debunked.
Wow.
And that's almost like it's almost like A, it's like a relief, but B, it's not, because it's like what the hell, you know. And a lot of things are like that, you know. The more questions are answered, the more you know you have.
Exactly. Now
know,
I'm left here going, okay, did anybody else see it? Will they please step up?
Right.
Did you question it yourself? Like, did I actually really see that, or is it the power of suggestion or
Intuitively, I knew what it was.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to forgive me. I'm just putting on some of this amazing beard balm here, guys. From it's called Norse Awakening, which fits for me, being the Viking type, and
Right.
it's beard balm like no other. I mean, it's aromatherapy oils. I don't know if you can see that.
I'll have to get myself some beard balm.
You should get some, Steph, because you can use it on all types of hair. And all types of beard.
I'll just stop shaving it off. I'll just stick with the beard balm. I'll be good.
And while I'm at it, the Ghost Finders special edition soaps from Crescent Moon Soaps, and that's available at crescentmoonsoaps.com. I'm going to be shameless right here now and say Crescent Moon Soaps, Ghost Finders. This stuff, okay, is absolutely unbelievable, and I want you to tell us a little bit about that real quick while you change the subject, because honestly,
so that is a whip soap sugar scrub, and it is in the or I believe it's orange spice is what I made yours out of, and it glows in the dark.
That's hysterical.
In the dark.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this, but I put some on, and then I time for lights out, but nourishment at night, and God's near scared the hell out of my daughter. She's just like, Dad, you're glowing. No, I'm just kidding. So, yes,
you have to rinse better, Rob. You have to rinse better.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you noticed. I'm glad. But yeah, all available at crescentmoonsoaps.com, right, Angie?
Yes, absolutely. And we've also expanded our soap line. Yeah, I know. And my daughter is running that part because the crystals are absolutely taking over my whole store. And so, yeah, she's got Honey Soap Co. now.
I love it.
Honey Soap Co.
Mm-hmm.
So back to what we were talking about with the whole incidental stuff like paranormal experiences and that matter. What would you say to someone who says, what's your first thought, okay, when someone says do you believe, let's just say that you hadn't had that experience,
mm-hmm.
And someone asked you, do you believe in aliens? What would your first thought be?
I honestly, I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
because I find it hard to believe, and I think that we would be very selfish and conceited to think that we are the only ones here. There are multiple universes. Why
Absolutely.
are we so special that we're the only ones?
Right.
Because
when I hear that, I don't know. What about you, Steffi? What do you think when someone says? What's your answer when someone says, "Do you believe in aliens?"
I've always, same thought process, Angie. How can we be so close-minded to think in this great big world we're the only ones here? And I've always looked at it as maybe to somewhere else we're the aliens, and they're trying to find out if we exist.
It's like an extraterrestrial version of that movie, The Others. That if you haven't seen, I just ruined the whole plot for you.
It's a good movie.
Okay.
Though. It's a very good movie.
You're assuming I have time to do anything other than work.
Angie, I'm kind of curious. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
No, I was just going to say, because to me the whole question, I think if you have any grasp of, I don't think you need to be an astronomist. Really, if you have any grasp of physics or the really the basic sort of like 7th grade, 8th grade stuff,
right?
That that how absurd that question is. It's almost like saying, it's like someone asking you in this great big lake, humongous lake, you think there's any fish in there?
I don't know if it's absurd though. I mean, there's still people, and honestly, that think the world's flat because they're so stuck, in the way things were. To some people, I think even considering we're not alone is such a far-fetched idea to them.
Yeah, but these are people who don't understand that we live in the Milky Way, which is one galaxy, okay, with hundreds and hundreds of billions of planets, stars, and bodies, okay, in that one galaxy, of which that one galaxy is also one of hundreds of billions of galaxies.
But people don't believe the science.
Well, they
Right.
don't
I had a
believe it.
flat
Well,
earther in my store the other
gotcha.
day.
Yeah. And that's, it's just that closed-mindedness or not feeling there's that proof, and you're not going to reach those people until they have that experience. Yeah.
It is. And there are people that believe that Jesus rode to work on a dinosaur, and
Right. I thought it was a donkey.
Flintstone. But and to each their own. I mean, and that's fine if that's what you want to believe.
Right.
Including the boogeyman, and that's fine. I'm knock it to each their own. But there was a guy called Drake. He was a scientist and mathematician, I believe, and he was an astrophysicist. He calculated that it's mathematically impossible for us to be alone in the universe, just by the sheer inconceivable mass of the universe as a whole.
Well, absolutely. And Angie having that psychology background, I know when I was taking psychology classes, my professor, there could be a whole universe on the tip of a pin.
Right.
That's that psychology, universes within universes and environments within environments. But because we don't see them as human, we discredit. Maybe they are. Maybe it's like Horton Hears a Who.
I was going to say, like
True.
Dr. Seuss. Yeah, right? Way ahead of his time.
I've tried to debunk everything because,
yes,
innately we're everybody's a skeptic to some extent. You're like, okay, well, maybe. But when you apply all of the evidence,
right,
it's irrefutable.
And speaking of evidence, and I like that because I have a degree in criminal justice also, which is, I think, why I really resonated with you. Do you feel that, there's a level of skepticism, right, that you have to have when you're in criminal justice? There is definitely a level of keeping your feet in the physical world, what the evidence shows you and those things. Do you feel like having that background has kept you more connected to looking for that evidence, to wanting to find the proof, having that not necessarily a skeptical mind, but a different eye than some people in this field look at things?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say with that? I guess like when you're a paranormal investigator.
Sorry, guys. I goofed. I am looking at my battery on my phone and realized I didn't bring my phone charger in here.
Oh no, that's okay.
It's okay, is it?
We'll just talk to you till you disappear. It'll be like magic.
It'll be, you know what? And maybe your electric personality. Sorry, no reference to the lightning strike.
You want me to take you with me to go get my charger?
Yeah, come on, show us where your charger is. Show everyone where your charger is.
Yeah, this is not embarrassing at all, is it?
Hey, right. You weren't muted for the first minute of the show, so don't feel bad.
And she had me going as well because I thought it was me.
See, it was a test. It was a test.
Look at my green lights. Yep, there's green lights up there.
I love it.
Green lights. Oh, date. Is that that's the shop, right?
No, that's my bedroom.
Yeah, an interesting bedroom.
Yes.
With lights and it mirrors too, or?
No, Rob, just
okay. Right.
Just the lights.
Just the lights. Because they give space to dimensions. You know what I mean? I had this tiny place in New York City, and I'd mirrors all up everywhere. Not because I was vain, but because it gives the effect of space. Just like certain colors do. So
now we're good.
Going with that.
So back to the criminal justice aspect, Angie. when you're out, doing your paranormal investigations, how do you bring in those tools? Do you feel like you go in it more with that investigative type mentality? Or do you feel like, I don't know, I guess, how do you feel like that pulls into what you do now?
Oh, for sure. I definitely go in with that investigative mentality, because I want to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that what I'm sensing, what I'm feeling is actually
Right.
there.
Absolutely.
I worked 6.5 years in a maximum security male prison.
Right.
The only thing that was higher than what I worked in was Supermax.
Yeah.
So, I've dealt with a lot of individuals. So investigating things and being super cautious has become
Absolutely.
my second nature.
Yeah.
And, right before I opened up my soap store, I was a custom protection officer. I did
love
riot
it.
control.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Rob, all 5'3" of me.
Wow.
But, self-awareness is everything. And,
Absolutely.
still to this day, I won't sit with my back to the
Oh
the
gosh,
door
no.
whenever I go
I
in
know.
and eat.
Right.
Yeah. But, I do keep my eyes peeled. I do pay attention. And whenever I feel something, just like where we went recently, Rob,
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know that what I felt is real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you, it's funny, because a lot of people, and and this applies to every dimension. You really, whether it's someone alive or someone spirit, that wants to affect you negatively, just like a person that's alive. If your response is zero, then you're implying that it does not exist, because and what doesn't exist can't hurt you, can't affect you. So yeah, I mean that's I just wanted to say that because I thought it
I
was
needed to hear that.
Can't
So are you
affect me.
saying, are you saying that if you don't believe in something, it can't affect you? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's
because
why my daughter had no issues at all whenever she came up for the filming.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you manifest your reality. So if if your manifestation is that it doesn't exist, that it's merely it's inconsequential to you, like bacteria is on the
I
floor
know.
of the
I see what you're saying. And I
yeah.
agree to an extent, where I think for me, it's more controlling the fear, not
Right.
that it doesn't exist, because I've been confronted with some pretty wretched things where, it's kind of yeah. And it's like, all right, I see you. I acknowledge you, but then I go into that, you don't have power over me. So it's not, for me at least, not acknowledging it. It's setting my boundaries and not letting it feed off my fear. Does that make sense?
I think everyone has
Yeah.
that power to a
Yeah.
certain degree,
That's
and
interesting.
that option to a certain degree. Don't you? I mean, it's almost as well. It's like a it's like a bad smell. You'll get used to it eventually until you sort of like tune it out. So maybe that was a better description, to tune it out
Tune it
of
out. Yeah.
your reality.
We have a couple great questions. I just want to try to get to those before we run out of time, because we're getting close. Lizzie asks, what are shadow people? Do you see them while doing your paranormal investigations?
We actually saw one in the basement.
And what
Yes,
would you
we did.
explain to people what are shadow people? How would you explain them?
Rob, you want that one, or do you want me to take it?
Well, I mean, everything is it's theoretical. It's
Yeah.
not like we have scientific knowledge of what
Right.
this particular alleged phenomenon is, and I say alleged with the most respect. How can you really know what any of it is? I think that,
And I think it's some of their compressed energy matter too,
Yeah.
moving from one point to another.
yeah, could well be. Could, I think, also be shadow that's cast from something that you can't see. That was my perspective. It doesn't kind of make a whole lot of sense in terms of physics, but then what of any of that does?
Yeah.
Because you can say, well, if it's transparent, how would it block out the light? But I believe that the shadow person is a shadow literally cast from an entity.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've always felt the shadow, in my experiences anyway, in dealing with shadow entities, shadow people, whatever you want to call it, was the shadow was the source, I guess, or the whatever you want to refer to it, where that's where I had the direct interaction with them versus. So that's interesting takes on those. Okay, we have one more question from Keith, and he said, have you ever had someone in your crystal store that was open and brings things in with them without knowing? How do you deal with that?
Yes. And I'm not so sure that that's not the current situation.
Sure.
I have purchased some items. I've purchased a doll for the store. She's good. I've cleared her, Rob. Everything is good. Used all the meters, everything on her. She's fine. But I think a lot of people's energy, they're depositing negative energy into the store. So we definitely cleanse the store all the time. We make it a regular ordeal.
Absolutely.
But like antiques and things like that, when I bring them in, 100%, I make sure to sage that or use Palo Santo, put some crystals around it. We're going to isolate it for a minute before we put it out on the floor, even if it's just decoration.
Have you found that, I mean, and for me, I have found it to be true. There's times where sage and crystals don't always cut it, and you have to take it up a notch, and I've run into people where I've done clearings like that. Have you run into that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With myself recently.
Sure.
So, I mean, with Megan, we were talking about who you're going to see again in a week. She, I know that she has done. Just trying to think, when we did Penhurst Asylum for the second time back in season 7 or 8, she used tuning forks, which I thought were really and so vibrational energy used in a multitude of different ways to neutralize negative energy, combined with prayer.
So does that just dissipate it then? Then where does it go once it's dissipated?
Not my business, as long as it's not in my store.
Interesting. See, when I clear for people, generally what we do is we send it back. We give it an option, to return to source or to go to the hellfires. That way it's not just free to go and reattach somewhere else.
Right.
It's kind of, it absolutely will. So that's why I was kind of curious if it was just like, hey, okay, you're not here, but then where does it go? So that's interesting.
I think if it's not banished or released in a particular way, then it'll just reform.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
think of it as, science class. You see all these little molecules, they're really tight together, and then you see them start split up, and it just dissipates like that.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, just like clouds, it can come back together again.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be responsible and recycle our negative spirits, not just throw them in the trash.
Right.
That is my advice for everybody.
Keep your spirits out of the trash.
Yes. Put them in the recycling canister. We're almost out of time with Angie. Do you have anything else you want to add, or where can people find you?
Yeah.
You can, if you're in Hickory, North Carolina, which hopefully some of our viewers are, you can stop by Valley Hills Mall and catch us there, or you can go to crescentmoonsoaps.com to catch us as well.
Wonderful.
Angie, thank you so much, Joy.
Yeah, we're on Facebook too.
You're on Facebook, yes. And is it at Crescent Moon Soaps?
Yes, it is Crescent Moon Soaps, Crystals, and Gifts.
Okay, wonderful.
We had to add the crystals in there because originally we were just a soap store and the crystals took over.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Angie, for being here. It's been
Oh, you're
fantastic
welcome.
to
Thank
get
you
to
for
know you
having
and
me.
talk with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
can't wait till the episode comes out. Everybody's been asking me about it, driving me
It-
crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna come out in September. So there'll be 6 episodes airing between September and the end of October, ending with a season finale, which is a Halloween special.
Awesome.
And amazing stuff. We have the amazing Nathan Withers from My Paranormal Experience as DP this season, which we are utterly spoiled.
He's awesome. He was so cool when I met him.
It's horrible. I so don't belong in
extraordinary
this
talent.
field because I have no idea who you guys are talking about. I'm horrible.
You will, you see, and our
It's
website
horrible.
will soon reveal it too. But if you look it up, Nathan Withers, My Paranormal Experience, great show. Check that
Interesting.
out too.
And Patty.
Patty, well, that goes without saying. I mean, Patty's Patty. I mean, amazing. That good witch.
Mm-hmm.
I know who that is.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I'm improving.
The whole cast and crew was absolutely phenomenal. We had an amazing time.
That's
good
awesome.
people.
Except for when I went to the attic.
It'll be okay.
So, it will. Spoilers.
I'm not saying anything
continued.
else. Killing me inside.
Angie, on that
You,
note,
Angie.
we'll let you go. And we will,
Yeah,
we will-
don't miss season 12, guys.
Don't
It
miss
is
season 12.
not gonna disappoint, I promise.
All right.
Bless you,
On
darling.
that
Thanks
note-
for coming on the show and talk soon.
Oh, you're
We will-
welcome.
We will see everybody back in just a moment. Bye,
Bye,
Angie.
guys.
Hubble, bubble, toil and trouble. Focus your hocus and your pocus on our range of artisan handcrafted natural soaps. We can't give away the potion of youth, but a gift from Crescent Moon Soaps will please one and all. That's the truth. CrescentMoonSoaps.com.
Visit Crescent Moon Soaps.
If you're a fan of the paranormal world, then you'll love WLTK-DB Talk Radio. Talk shows bringing you the latest on everything paranormal, cryptozoological, metaphysical, true crime, psychic readings, and more. The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com. Just Sage It, a selection of intuitively handcrafted crystal jewelry, Crystal Creations sacred sage sprays, moon ritual mists, chakra and angel sprays, and more to balance your energies and manifest your best life. Energize your body, mind, and spirit. When life brings you down, just sage it at shopjustsageit.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Universe on WLTK-DB. Let's Talk Radio. It's about 49 past the hour. If you're just tuning in, they missed the fantastic Angie Ramsey. She was a lovely lady.
Not to be confused with Gordon, and a very extraordinary story, right, Steph? With the whole lightning strike thing, and
yeah,
it was what definitely almost one of the, although she didn't die, you know, it was a bit like, reminded me of that what was that movie with Kiefer Sutherland, you know, where they you know, they die and then they bring them back to life.
Oh yes,
Flatliners, yes,
that's a very good movie.
And yeah, so it's interesting stuff.
It was. And, you know, there's a lot of conversation and topics about a traumatic experience kickstarting people's abilities. And I think that just kind of attests to that theory.
It really does. It really does. It makes you wonder, because you really can't know unless you've actually been in her shoes, you know, and you've experienced that.
No, absolutely. So, Rob, what do we have to tell the wonderful, wonderful viewers? We won't be here next week because there's a station break. So we'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
We're gonna be fixing it. We're gonna Todd will be mixing up the cement, and she'll be shoveling it in, and I'll be troweling and sanding, and we'll fix the break.
We'll fix the break. Yes. After we fix that, we can come back.
We can come back. But yeah, I don't know. What have you got going on, Steph, this weekend? We're let's see, about 4 hours away from TGIF. So
I am finishing up the last 2 weekends of AAU basketball. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be done with basketball, people. I mean,
Cool.
Basketball's okay, but
I'd love to see you out there. I bet you're like one of these really animated sports moms. Yeah,
I'm a little loud. I'm a little, and that's, I just had a shirt made and it says classy until tip off. And I try hard. I try not to yell at the refs or my child, but I say it's motivational speaking. It's motivational speaking.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm the same, and I'm a very vocal, animated individual. Yes. When I'm not, I've for 7 years now. I've coached youth soccer,
right?
And fantastic, mixed, together, and
Absolutely.
it's extraordinary, how quiet everyone is. I'm like, bloody Nora, this is like back home in England. You can't hear yourself think.
I have parents that won't even sit by me. Like and I'm the mom that when my kids played baseball, I had the bell. At track, cross country, I got the bell. I want my kids to know I'm there. I want them to feel supported.
Yeah, you got to motivate.
Absolutely.
You got to motivate, and so I'm looking forward to that as well. She starts her second season of soccer, my little 6-year-old Lily, and
love it.
In a few weeks' time, and I'm really excited about that. She's just so excited. It's fantastic.
You need a lot of coordination to play soccer. Like I couldn't do that.
No, well, you know what? I hung up my whistle, last season. So this season, I'll actually get to see her, play from the other
from a viewer. That's hard, though. That's hard because I know being a coach myself and then switching gears to watching and not coaching, it's so hard. It's
because
so hard.
Because inside you're like, there's absolutely no way that was not a goal.
I know,
no way, and
right. And I'm not even like, again, basketball is probably my least favorite sport. And I'm in my 950th season right now. But I am like, sometimes I don't even know what I'm yelling. I'll be like, hands up. Then my son will come over, to the bench later and he's like, Mom, we were on offense. And I'm like, I don't care. You need your hands up to catch the ball. Like, I'm just yelling to yell. Does
your husband ever tell you, like, just simmer down,
I have to sit in front of him. Otherwise, I yell in his ear. I'm not allowed to sit next to him during sporting events.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Angie said she forgot to say, and I want to say it too, because actually it's a second show. I was supposed to say it last month, but I just want to say a happy and hopeful and beautiful Pride Month to everyone out there, regardless of who you are, regardless of anything and everything. Happy Pride Month. I've got my Dr. Martens I'm wearing around. They've got my rainbow colored laces, and I am proud to be celebrating Pride Month. And
that's nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Steph, your purple, by the way, looks really fantastic.
Oh, thanks. I changed. This was my wardrobe change.
Was that okay?
My wardrobe change. So
so I like the blue cardigan that you had on this morning.
Oh, thanks. Nice. Yeah, I can't wear the same thing, and so I gotta change it up a little bit each time. Yeah. But anything else you wanna give them some inspiration for the week ahead?
So inspiration for the week ahead is to just smile. Yeah. It's amazing how you can change someone's day just by a smile.
Absolutely.
Just by a well-intended smile.
Yeah.
And it can literally be that easy.
Absolutely.
To just make someone's day,
Yeah.
and it's like a connection.
It
And
is.
then you have a mutual exchange of energy because you're making them feel good. They're
Absolutely.
smiling back, and then you feel good. And so
Right.
you can imagine if this all
Ripple
happened
effect.
in this, simultaneously, how
Yeah.
much change we could make in the world. If only we realized the true power of love, Steph.
Well, and not just love, but I want to add it to it that when we smile, truly allow yourself to be happy. There was a song I heard today. It was by NF, and it's called Happy, and it really hit me hard. And that song and the lyrics really caught me off guard. And you know what? You guys should listen to it and just really allow yourself to truly be happy. We stop ourselves from being happy in so many ways. And then until we allow that happiness to reach ourselves and our soul, we truly can't ripple it out. It's a false front. And so start allowing yourself to really be happy and enjoy the moment and be present.
Beautiful words, well said, and I echo them absolutely. Steph,
Rob,
I got to tell you that I never want to see you in anything other than purple. Really,
all right.
I think
this is actually my only purple shirt, to be honest.
So
This
could
is my
like purple
only
lipstick would have like totally set that.
Oh my
off,
God.
you know
I
what
can't
mean?
even tell you. I actually put on lipstick, because you got to do your makeup a little bit darker when you're on camera. So I put on lipstick, and my husband was coming in and he's like, "What do you have on your face?" And I'm like, "I have to do it darker for the show." And, and I walked out, and one of my kiddos is sitting at the table, and he's like, "Where is my mom? What do you have on your face?" And I'm like, thanks for the morale boost, guys. I'm gonna go
The
co-host
goth
with
boost.
Rob now. Yeah. but-
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Take no notice. As long as you feel good, you know
Well,
what?
yeah.
And
Allow yourself to be happy, people.
allow yourself to be
Allow yourself
happy,
to be happy.
and don't take any notice of the haters,
Absolutely not.
because there's nothing you can do to them that they aren't already doing
Yes.
to themselves.
Nope. And we have to go because there's another fantastic show coming up in just a minute.
There is.
So make sure you guys stay right here, even though we're leaving, and stick with WLTK-DB. See you guys in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.